Welcome to TED Talks.
I'm Missy.
And I'm Mariah. I'm a certified nurse midwife, and I'm a mom of 3 children, 7 and younger.
I'm a mom of 5, pregnant with my 6th. And we came together because we're women, just like you, and we saw a need. So we created a platform and a community for women called Beyond the Red Tent.
Right.
And we're taking it one step further.
To TED Talks. So TED Talks is a space where you can come and learn from vetted experts, real women that are willing to share their courageous stories about topics of holistic women's health.
And so you're here. We understand life is full. You're a busy woman. So this is only going to be about 30 minutes of a beautiful talk with either an expert or a real woman like yourself. So grab a cup of tea, sit back, and enjoy.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
A lot of people, are suicidal.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that can be healed. Easily, but that can be healed. And it's often, there's 2 reasons for that. I mean, no, I'm sure there's many reasons for that, but 2 reasons that I've uncovered are, 1, a person from their life who has loved them is in their soul, talking to them, wanting to be with them. This happened actually one time. And that person didn't fully go to the light and was really calling to her grandson, which made him suicidal. And once I discovered this and we had the whole conversation, she went to the light and he stopped being suicidal. So there's an energy in his soul that was calling him to that. And another thing with suicide is if, people try to follow their loved ones through the death gateway, and then they get caught there, and then they can't come back. And I just think right now there's so many people who are unhappy, who don't want to be here, who are thinking about leaving, and I've discovered that it's for me, it's not a hard thing to help bring someone back, and then they get to not be influenced by those energies. For some reason, I don't know why, I needed to talk about this.
I love how perfect it always is. Just to open up the container and trust that the right energy flows.
Yeah, it was interesting. I knew I just needed to say that. So that was the feeling.
So then, Annie, question to you personally, when you're working with so many different people and so much energy, how do you personally protect your own energy so that you're not taking on other people's stuff?
That's a good question. I'm in the ceremony, so I empty myself of heavy energy. I fill it with refined energy, and I ask to be as powerful as I can be in that moment in time for the person. At the end of the healing, I center and ground again, and I bring up all of the energy, pull energy from my body that I might have taken from the person, and I send it back to them, and I thank them for letting me participate in their healing. I don't do anything extravagant. In the old days, I would maybe be doing more, but I feel super protected by all of my people. And then I always turn the healing back to the person, and somehow that is enough for me. And then in that, I'm always, like people say, wow, don't you get tired? But I don't get tired. I feel great. If I'm having a day where I'm really kind of in my own funk, but I have a healing schedule, during the opening of the ceremony, I pray for a miracle healing for the person, and I pray for myself as well. And at the end of the healing, when the person leaves, I'm good. So always grateful to how it goes. And I haven't had, I don't really deal with it any more than that in terms of protection. I don't take it on, which a lot of people do, which is another reason why so many people are confused and burdened, because they're taking on the heavy energy of other people. And I'm just talking about regular people. I'm not talking about healers even. Yeah.
You said at one point you had an apprentice. So you potentially help teach people who are aligned with the idea of spiritual healing and how they can connect with their teachers and their people and potentially do what you do?
I teach the spiritual healing class, open set up for people. In my experience, I've taught that class since I think maybe 95. Not every year, but often enough. Hardly anybody becomes a spiritual healer. Most people are, might do a little healing work here and there, but most people end up just having huge life changes, and they don't take it on as a path. It's a crazy path. It's not like a usual path. And so in my first series that I ever taught, I used to teach it 3 months on, a break, 3 months on again. This one woman in the class, I loved her. She told me she wasn't coming back to the second part. And I said, oh, how come? She said, because if I do, I'm going to have to leave my husband. Because she was opening and changing so much that she would have had to change her whole life. And so, yes, I love having an apprentice in the healing room. I love that because I love sharing, and the biggest things oftentimes take place in the healing room. And if no one's there to witness it but me, I think that's kind of too bad. But so when I do have an apprentice, I'm happy about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So in circling back around a little bit, just reasons people come to you, I would imagine, as per our previous conversation, that depression and anxiety are at the top of the list, or that people come to you often for that.
People, depression, anxiety, addiction, just unhappiness, and then you can make lists about all of that, and then illness. People are not necessarily autoimmune disease. That's a big one too. Yeah, when things have lodged into the physical, I'm going to tell you one more story, okay, which is sort of a different tangent. This happened when I was in Hungary. We went to the home of this man. He lived with his older daughter. He was probably in his 60s. My friend was translating. So it turned out he had lung cancer. He had had a lung surgery. He wasn't asking me to heal him so he wouldn't die. He wasn't doing that. He just had pain in his back. So the short story is, this guy lied on the couch. I sat at his feet. I was sitting on the floor. The short story of that is I was shown. So I have these friends in the other realms. They're from the Pleiades, and they're surgeons. And the surgeons come and they're on their task, and they do their task, and then they leave. They don't talk to me. They're just on it. Sometimes I get to watch. What happened was the Pleiadian surgeons came because I was shown that when the human doctors did the surgery on this man, they took an extra stitch and they sewed something together that shouldn't have been sewn together. And so that's why he had all this pain that all the doctors, when he kept going back, the doctors said, we don't know, you should be fine, we don't know. So the surgeons cut the adhesion. They bring in this green gold salve. They salved it up. They left. And they told me, or I was told, that my teacher told me, that in 3 days his pain will be gone. And in 3 days, his pain was gone. So that was the reason for the healing, and that was resolved. But I didn't do anything. I just have relationships with these beings, and I walked the path long enough, done my own personal work, because I see it as a two-footed walk. You know, like Mariah was saying earlier, you need to pay attention to who you see, because a lot of people call themselves shamans and healers and experts, and that's great, but have they done their own personal work? Because we have to keep doing our personal work, because in the healing of our own souls, and usually the healer is the wounded one, I know that's true for me, in the healing of our own souls, then more refined energy is freed up, and then the healer foot expands. So it's then and then we're riding on that until something comes up in the personal. Then we have to deal with that. Then we ride on the expansion from that. So I didn't do anything in that healing except cultivate myself in my path. And the surgeons took care of it. And then it was done. He had no more pain. So that's another reason.
Can you talk about your relationship with other realms and other beings, and who you connect with to help you in your healings?
When I open a healing ceremony, no, I'll start it. Let me say something first. All of that has been an evolution. But I've always had this one particular teacher who's been my teacher and the teacher in the healings. And so when I open a ceremony, I call in the spirits, the masters, the healers, the teachers, the shamans of the light. I call in Pachamama, Mother Earth. I call in Inti, the sun. I call in Mama Kocha, the ocean. I call in all the Apus, the spirits of the mountains. I call in Archangel Michael and all his people. I call in my power animal, and I call in different people by name, the ones that I have relationships with. And so all of those relationships, my two core teachers, and all the other people, and the Pleiadians, and it's all come as an evolution of doing the work. So I guess I'm not going to name everybody by name because I don't think it's a good idea. But it's been an evolution. So for example, how did the Pleiadians come to me? The first time I ever taught a hands-on healing class was 1995. I had no idea I was ever even supposed to do that. And I realized I was supposed to do it. And so I didn't know. And that was before I considered myself a spiritual healer. I was a hands-on healer. I was a shamanic healer. Things were more separate. So I realized I was supposed to do that. And I thought, well, what am I doing? I don't know. I just took a weekend workshop with a famous person, and I learned some foundation. And then I've been just doing it like they told me, just keep doing it. The spirits told me do it. So I figured if I did an invitation-only class where people already knew me, because I was already teaching labor support, childbirth education, spiritual midwifery, I figured people would be patient with me. So and if I planned the first few classes, I figured something would take over. So something did take over. Energisa from the Pleiades came, and she became my hands-on healing teacher that I was bringing to the group. And other things happened. That's when the Venusian healers came. That's, you know, so the teachers to me come when I'm ready, and they manifest in different ways, and then they might show me their true beingness, their true identity when I'm ready. And I just have to keep walking the path. Yeah.
I love it.
It's always interesting. I really love it. I love it. But I mostly love that it works. Like, I am thrilled that it works. I am thrilled when people get in touch with me and tell me, oh yeah, I saw you 15 years ago. You cured my migraines. I did? Yeah, I've never had any more migraines. Okay. It's magical and it's wonderful and it's real. It's real.
And I want to bring you to the world. I think, you know, people deserve to be able to have access to this possibility. And I'm aware of time too, but
Okay.
Annie, when you refer to the soul, do you think an individual, is there one soul or are there multiple souls? Because when I think about a soul retrieval, is that just a fragment of a soul, or is that other part of it? I mean, do you, I don't know
Okay.
how to ask the
I
question.
know the answer. I mean, I know how to answer you.
Mhm.
Each of us has our own individuated soul. Okay? And so if I do a soul retrieval for you, it's a part of your soul that needs to be back with you as an individuated being. Okay? Yet if you look at like a pie, each of our souls is part of the human soul. We all come together. So there's the individuated soul, there's the human soul. There's the soul of you and your husband. That makes, you know, it's like there's your soul, there's his soul, and then you come together, as my friend Linda Jean calls it, in a we soul, you know? And then there's the soul of your family, the bubble of your family. There's the soul of a town. You know, the Carol call it the energy bubble. It's both, it's the soul. So it's individuated, and then it gets more and more and more collective, depending on how you want to look at it. So it's everything. It's one and it's all. It's both. Did that make sense to you?
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
for if I'm doing a healing for a person and I'm doing a soul retrieval for them, it will be part of their individuated soul that has been part of their spirit throughout their cycle of incarnations. But that, in fact, is not, otherwise we'd be separate, you know, that's just that, but then that's connected, that soul is connected to everything else, like I said. Yeah.
Across dimensions and across time periods.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so the way you explained it prior, I want to make sure that I have this right, is that the soul is the connection of our body and our spirit, that the soul is connected to the body, the spirit is separate from the body. Is that the way that you explained it?
Not exactly. I mean, okay, so the illusion of separation is just rampant in this culture, and duality and all of that. So let me try to, so here, okay, so I'm a body. If you imagine in the center here, which I call the heart soul space, is my light. So this is my light, the light of who I am as spirit, as consciousness, as love. Okay? When I was a little teeny embryo just growing, I'm spirit, I'm consciousness. I was there. As the body's growing, my soul is growing. It's the invisible thing that's growing as the body grows, okay? Because it's going to be my container for my form when I have a form. So we're spirit. Within the light of spirit is the seed of soul. So there's spirit, then there's soul, which becomes the energy bubble and there's the body. So it's all one thing, and everything affects everything within the one individual person. Is that better?
Yes.
Good. I'm glad.
Kind of. I'm excited to read the book, and I'm excited for more to dive deeper into this. And of course, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be awesome for when we do our physical retreat for Beyond the Red Tent? Wouldn't it be lovely to have Annie there to potentially have a one-on-one session with each of the individuals that attends the retreat? And my mind keeps going to how else can we help bring this possibility to people that are starving for it.
I love that.
Don't forget to subscribe.
And if you also want to take a peek at our website, it's right here.